Alright, new entry today. I'm going to play tennis in 30 minutes, so I've decided to record this before I go and play tennis. So one thing that I've come to a conclusion with, or conclusion to, after discussing with my friend David in today's call, is that there are 3 axioms to life. And this is a very big change. So yeah, this is a very big change to how I'm going to be approaching my work or how I'm going to see the world moving forward. For some context, as I've discussed a few times before, I'm in a phase of changing me to a better version of me, and I really appreciate that. One thing that I've kind of lost along the way is figuring out the purpose. And my purpose is to create a better world, is to create better systems for coordination amongst different economic agents or different types of people in this world, in this economy, in this system. That's it. That's all I'm looking to do. With or without tokens, it's not the thing that matters. Using blockchain or not, it's not the thing that matters. I just think blockchain is a great tool to help coordinate, and tokens will be a very great medium of coordination to get people together. Whatever it is, I was a bit lost with my purpose because as much as I absolutely believe in the product, I absolutely believe in the technology and its ability to coordinate, there's too many grifters and scams in this space, and it's quite disheartening, which makes me wonder if it's even relevant or if it's even worth it to go and design these systems. I don't think, now in hindsight, now that I've done a lot of reflections for the last couple of months, I realize that that is still very relevant. It is very important still to be building good systems, to be building strong systems that allows people to coordinate amongst themselves to make better decisions. I think that's very important. And that could come from a country physical world level. It could come from gameplay and people doing multiplayer online role-playing games, or it could come in the form of systems design, organization design, industrial design of a community of people within a company, within an organization, in a crypto system. Okay, so that sets the context. Now, I want to talk about the 3 axioms that I have come to a conclusion with. The context for that is that I believe in, previously, to give you some background, from an economics perspective, I'm always assuming, or when I'm building models, at the very least, I'm assuming that people are rational, and the economic agents, as much as they're very diverse, they have a little bit, you can put them into little boxes, right? These different economic agents will interact with the system differently, and they coordinate amongst themselves or across different economic agents or with the system to produce something productive. And that has been the rational thinking for the longest time. And I think that's an important way to get started. But the reality is that once a system is out there, there will be chaos, there will be complications. The system will just keep growing and changing and evolving. That's natural. Which brings me to my first axiom, entropy. I've talked about entropy before, but the whole concept of entropy is that things keep getting further apart. You harness energy in the physics world, atoms harness energy from the sun, and then it gets further apart from each other, and basically that's why the universe keeps expanding, because there's entropy and these systems just keep expanding. Bringing it down to the level of Earth, and the level that at least I want to put the context in, is that things are going to get more complicated, things are going to get more chaotic. Entropy is something that will always exist. In the context of economics or systems design or economy, it just means that there will be more diversity, more chaos, more complications. Economic agents or use cases or the system's parameters are just going to be pulled further apart. And that is something that will always exist. The only way to deal with entropy, the only way, is through coordination. It's economic agents or particles, whatever, coordinating together. And coordinating, it could just be making decisions together or coming closer together to form a specific structure. So imagine a circle. Entropy means this is expanding into different kind of shapes. Coordination is getting the particles to come closer together in a uniform structure, if you want that to be, to build a circle again. This coordination requires a lot of energy. That's it. The key thing about humanity is that it's all about energy. It's all about energy storage. It's all about energy trade. And I can talk about that probably tomorrow in a different conversation. The point is that it requires a lot of energy to coordinate and to come together. And I think that's absolutely the answer to coordination. The answer to entropy. You need to coordinate. So the first axiom is entropy. Entropy is always going to be there. Entropy is something default in life. In fact, as my friend David said, entropy is our enemy. What we want to do is to coordinate, and that takes a lot of energy, which is fine, to coordinate. The second thing is scarcity, the second axiom. So to me, scarcity is really very important because as we're looking at coordinating, we're expensing a lot of energy. The way to coordinate, the means to this end of coordination is scarcity. How do we embed scarcity in a lot of our systems design to allow people to make decisions? Because scarcity to me is really about opportunity cost. How do people make decisions? If everything is in abundance, a lot of things just don't matter. The way to get people to decide to vote, to change their behavior is through scarcity. And through scarcity, the behavior that we want them to change or want them to move towards, the behaviors we're incentivizing, is to coordinate amongst other economic agents. So the second thing is, I think it's very important, is scarcity. And previously I was living in this whole everything is in abundance. We have all these tokens in the world, we have all this energy in the world, we have all these use cases or all these assets in the world, everything is in abundance. However, abundance doesn't incentivize behavior changes. So I'm now looking in a world where I want to introduce certain levels of scarcity in different forms or different structures to really incentivize coordination for the system. And thirdly, it's relativity. I'm talking about relativity in a context where instead of everything being better in absolute terms, someone is better than your neighbor. And that's the thing, right? Nobody cares about growth in absolute terms. People only care that I'm better than my neighbor. And this is a human behavior that will always exist. Even if you don't think about, I don't have much, I'm not an egoistical person and I'm just living life in my own realm. People are still going to be comparing one way or another. So a relative comparison is a human innate behavior. How can I take this as an axiom and principle to design more robust economies, more robust systems? I don't know what that looks like yet. And these three axioms to me are very important in figuring out how to design systems continuously. Everything I've been researching on for the last 8 years of my life has really been focusing on how do you design a system to get things started. And I think that's a really good baseline to get started. The truth is that once these systems are out there, as with the cascade of time, things are going to change, things are going to evolve because of entropy, because of the lack of coordination, or because of wrong kind of coordination. Things are going to change, things are going to evolve. And the key thing then is how do we design a robust system that supports emergent behaviors that is out of scope of our initial design? And how do I incentivize coordination of different economic agents, especially as the economic agent types are going to be further apart, they're going to be different, they are just going to change in shape and form. I don't know what that looks like yet, and that is something I'll be exploring. So my purpose hasn't changed. In fact, what has changed is my approach to how do I create better systems, better structures, better design of how we coordinate amongst each other. So that is a big morning discovery for me, and I think that's exciting because I feel so excited to go figure this out again. Don't know who's working on things like that. If you are, please reach out because I really love to hear from you and just brainstorm together. I think I'm going to get a lot of inspirations, as I've always had, from common goods. How do we allocate resources amongst the common goods and common assets? and how do we make sure that we don't go into the multipolar trap that we also have in economics. It's kind of like game theory, and how do we make sure that we can coordinate in sharing this scarce resource, considering that, yeah, we're fighting for the same resources. So that is what I would like to share about today. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.